after finishing the class, I was returning home by train as usual, just thinking about what to do after reaching home. Then suddenly there was such a sharp prick in my chest that I lost my breath. I was in pain, darkness came before my eyes, and the very next page my name was written. As soon as I opened it, my whole world turned upside down. It was clearly written that I was dead, that too due to illness, and on top of that, I had been killed by mistake 50 years ago, instead of forgiveness. I was sent to another world. I was going along, suddenly a keyboard and monitor appeared in front of me, as if a game had started. Without any delay, I wrote down my 3 abilities. Firstly, I could summon weapons and the soldiers who wield them. Secondly, I could summon those weapons and soldiers completely. I was told that I had packed more than 3 abilities, hence there would be a restriction. I thought there would be a small limit and pressed yes. That was my first big mistake. After that I was told that in the world I was going to, the ground beneath my feet cracked, and I, screaming, fell straight into the dark pit. While falling, I also got one last message that it was God's time to mess with the people of the other world, hence there could be interference from above. To tell you the truth, my mind would wander. I kept writhing on the ground for several minutes. When the pain stopped, I understood that along with that pain, the basic information of this world had been forcefully crammed into my mind. I was irritated, but now I had to move ahead. Apart from this, I could only call weapons till 1945, nothing beyond that. The number of soldiers was also limited, resummons were also limited, and everything else had to open at the level. I regretted pressing yes without getting into that white room. Now I went and hugged it. Still I opened. There was no strict restriction on small arms, and while calling soldiers, their age, gender, appearance, and even caste could be selected. If I did not choose anything, everything would come at random. I chose German for myself. Chose the infantry set, because the elephant standing with the bayonet, the weight of the real gun in my hand, I realized for the first time that I was really not in a game, but in a war. I summoned a whole company for the test, and after the bright light there were 250 soldiers lined up in front of me. The commander of the first company was there, and she very calmly said that she will also be my assistant. I got stuck on her face, but what was more dangerous was the seriousness in her eyes. Later I came to know that out of 250, about 500 soldiers were women, but their skill was limited to equipment, walls, barbed wire, bunkers, trenches, outposts, artillery positions. Everything was summoned. The defensive base was ready in some time. Then I raised offensive firepower, heavy machines, gun, rocket launcher, truck mount. I was definitely tired, but for the first time I felt that I have at least enough strength to stand in this crazy world. Then I understood another strange thing. She was constantly calling me master. I told her clearly, don't call me like that. La section was there, just one word, dangerous. I looked up. She was smiling after taking off the helmet, as if nothing had happened. At that very moment I understood, I have a very capable person. An equally scary assistant. After some time, reports from reconnaissance teams started coming that there was a huge explosion from the side. The whole command center shook, smoke was rising, and the 12th Division reported that there were 2 men fighting, one of teenage age with blonde hair and the other with black hair. I immediately understood that if the situation worsens, then retreat. After my order the soldiers started the entire operation. Sniper positions were taken, the 1st and 2nd the platoon opened the attack together, and the Type 99 rifle bullets were fired from a distance. The first shot hit but Chav was firing, then he raised his stick and threw a fireball. That means he really had magic. After that my men even used Panzerfaust and portable mortars. The ground was shaking, the smoke was filled, and finally when it became real, because for the first time I had dodged the real danger of this world, the enemy was dying. I got her ability and a privilege. One ability was complete healing, the other was peerless, but the mark below it meant that I wanted to try it. When I said this, she suddenly became restless in her mind. She asked in an almost breaking voice if I was leaving her. I had to handle the situation immediately. I said that I could go because the soldiers of the 1st Queen's Division of the base met and took us inside. The dense forest suddenly opened and in front of me was an open field was visible, in the middle of which the old fort was still standing, made of stone and wood, walls all around, a big gate and the entire structure. Got the base searched again, no secret passage, no hidden door. It was just clear that people had once lived here, and they were probably forcibly removed. The search was over and night had come. Outside the demon went to be more active at night. Death all day long, new world, base, fighting, magic, outer worlder, everything had blown my mind. I lay down. It was then that Lieutenant Ibuki came to wake me up. There was tension in her voice. The patrol saw a shadow moving in the forest. The news has already been sent to the headquarters, and preparations for bombardment and emergency are also complete. I put the entire fort in combat mode. The gate is closed, the soldiers go into position, and no one should fire without my order. Goblins, kobolds, orcs, and whatnot. Everyone has war in their hands. There were swords, sticks, broken armor, but the numbers were maddening. I had a total of 80 soldiers, some heavy machine guns, some double-barrel machine guns, mortars. A new message appeared: God's test, number 1, survive the attack of demons, total enemies, 17,839, that one line cleared it all. This attack was not sudden, this was a game imposed from above. I was furious. God, I accidentally asked the time. There were about 2 hours left for the Suba, that's all. That was my expectation. I ordered the communication officer to send a request for immediate bombardment and reinforcement. A rush of demons from the front rose together. Our shells fell tearing the sky, and dozens of demons flew all around the fort simultaneously. Those who did not die immediately, they kept writhing in blood, but the problem was this: that their crowd was not stopping. I was firing continuously, shortage was going on. Calliope, Katyusha, howitzer, mortar, machine gun, all together were clearing the field, but then suddenly the firepower started decreasing. I came to know that some launchers are being reloaded, the howitzer has got heated up, and firing so fast is not breaking the prison but the whole army. Then only 1 hour can kill one's life. Only then from here and there. Sounds started coming in that I was running out of bullets. I opened the menu, and my heart sank when I saw the count of enemies remaining on God's trial number 1. We knocked back so many trolls and crushed the goblins behind us, but it only took a few seconds. The gate was about to collapse. I immediately collected the remaining bullets, called everyone to the gate, and gathered everyone who could fight there. With the last burst of M2, the entire belt was empty in 10 seconds. After that I also charged directly with everyone else. There were still about 200 monsters in front, and the fight started at the very close. Someone was hitting me with a shovel, someone was hitting me with a bayonet. I was wide open. Just then a bullet fired from the side killed him right there. I turned and saw Chitose standing there panting, STG-44 in her hand, and smoke was rising from the barrel of her gun. Reinforcements had also reached behind her. I was distraught. Chitose first of all caressed my body to check whether I was injured. I said I was fine, and to be honest, if he said anything had I waited a second, I probably would not have survived. Later, I received a report that 35 were lightly injured, 10 were seriously injured, and 1 had been cleared. My level had directly reached 19, and my ability limit had become very late. Now I could summon entire battalion level infantry, hundreds of artillery, vehicles, aircraft, even warships. I decided to build a new stronghold on a deserted island. I did. I reached there by destroyer and then used my abilities with full force: naval base, airport, command center, anti-air position, artillery site, radar, FL. For me it was like straight cheat. After this I also made a small hidden outpost on the continent, so that I could maintain a foothold on the mainland. Now I could run 2 bases simultaneously. Each base had 500 soldiers and a lot of logistic staff, but material was needed. There was clearly a shortage in it. It was about 2 months, during which time we raised the stronghold, suppressed the monsters around the outpost, and collected a lot of stock. Now I did not want to remain confined inside the base forever. I went outside. Nick's face changed completely, the light in his eyes disappeared, his voice became cold, and in a few seconds I was standing glued to the wall, trying to persuade her. Finally, I had to clearly tell her that she would keep the promotion, and my ad would also remain the same, but she brought it, and we headed to the Canary Kingdom. We're on the road. No worries. I was worried that people will be shocked to see such modern vehicles, but I clearly said, when I cannot summon in battle, then this is the right thing for safe travel. If anyone asks, Magic Eye is coming, but it is slowly fading away. I ordered the tank crew to fire canister shots on the insects on the right side of the wagon. The next moment huge insects started bursting into clouds of blood. Our rifle, recoilless rifle, machine gun and tank were 2 female knights. One was Phyllis Gardner, captain of the 2nd Imperial Guard of the Canary Kingdom, the other was her Zara Beretta. Phyllis was beautiful, well built, and had the aura of a sword base, but what struck me most was the Beretta Parabellum. She looked suspiciously at my name in the group, then Phyllis hesitantly asked for help in treating her wounded. I immediately said yes. As soon as our medics started work, their people were stunned. This world, who is it then? I just said, an adventuring party? After treating the wounded and making final arrangements for the dead, we were about to turn back when Phyllis stopped me. Her wagon was broken, the horses were killed, the people were injured, and before nightfall they set up camp about 20 kilometers away. Their supplies were almost exhausted, so I shared my rations with them. We fed them curry, then gave them chocolate, and their condition was worth seeing. First a little hesitant, then a little frank, and talked to them. I felt Chitosa's cold gaze from behind. From the conversations I got to know that inside the wagon she was guarding, there was some very noble person, and their mission was Samvadhanashil. I did not know much. I went out of the tent to drink water, then I saw a shadow, which silently came out of the wagon and went towards the Winters. I followed her carefully, and when I got closer I found out that she was a girl. My presence was at the wrong time. She has different eyes, one blue, one green, as if two different gems are shining. I asked her what was the matter, then she fearfully said that people consider her a taboo child. In this world, children with such different colored eyes considered her a very sweet girl, whom the world has unnecessarily rejected. Perhaps for the first time someone had said this to her, because at that very moment she smiled lightly and looked at her. Her hesitation began to break. She told me her name, Iris. Why am I taking her and absorbing every word of her? After some time she said that she was enjoying my stories very much. Then when I talked about lying down, she agreed to wait a little longer, made the excuse of cold, and in the next moment she came and flopped on my lap, for it was as if all the sounds of this strange, violent, crazy world disappeared. Then she let out a small sneeze, and I decided that now I should take her back, because the night was not over yet, and I felt that this meeting was very blue ahead. The next moment she got down on her knees and started making sure of Iris's well-being, and I understood that the girl with whom I was telling stories on the bank of the lake at midnight was no ordinary girl. She turned out to be Princess Iri, and Eagle had told that such a person had landed here, and Canary. The kingdom wants him to join them, because the monsters are growing abnormally, and the threat of war with the Alsace magic empire is also looming. On top of that, he was to be used as bait, and if the person from the other world was not found, then Iris would use high-level ritual magic to attack those two monsters at the cost of her life, meaning it was clear, one way or the other. They started talking. She got angry. She told me to call her Iris and not Princess, just like I said last night. There was innocence on her face, but there was direct pressure in her words. I finally agreed, and she said at the same moment she was getting colder every day. During the journey Chidos also told me the condition of the country. From the inside the Candy Kingdom was divided into two factions, from the outside there was a threat of war, and on the way she killed monsters on my orders. Breeding ground and full of different races, elves, hobbits, succubus, lamia, aracani, people with animal-like ears and tails were all visible, but the most different thing was that no one's face was glowing. Taxes had increased, a man of war came flying out, and the door also went almost with him. I entered inside and saw, standing in the hall in the middle of the forehead, a man was holding a kukri on his neck, and 5 adventurers were lying on the floor in a bad condition. That's when I came to know that she had gathered information and had also bought a house in the city under a fake name. I went with her to that house. From outside the place looked dilapidated and dusty, but the structure inside was magnificent. Then suddenly it came and told me that all these were maids bought by her, who were brought to take care of the house. Then she came near my ear and said very calmly that she had tried to remain as virgin as possible. I chose girls. At that moment I again understood that now my limit was not stuck at 1945, I could use weapons and systems up to 2013. The scale of my army had also increased like crazy. Now I had division-level infantry, heavy artillery, thousands of guards returned to my outpost. As soon as I reached there I changed the entire system. The old equipment was now useless. So I used modern weapons, new machinery, new defense, new deployment. Everything was reinstalled, continuously for 24 hours. When I reached back to the capital house, for the first time I felt that now maybe I will get a peaceful sleep, but the next morning I got a strange report. While cleaning the house, a hidden door was found at the back. Chitos immediately expressed suspicion that active gear was summoned and went down with the killer. There was a dark stone tunnel below, full of stench. At a distance the first one was rotten. The body was found. Then when I went further, the whole dungeon opened up, dead bodies were scattered behind the bars. My stomach started turning. I was thinking, how could a human being bring someone to this state? Then I felt that there was a slight movement in the eyelids of 2 little girls. At first I could not believe my eyes, but Chidos also realized that among them were vampires, dark elves, lamias, and people with animal ears. They were all standing on the edge of death, but I used my complete healing ability with all my might, and somehow saved his life. When it was all over, things like potions do not heal immediately. After that I returned to my room with faltering steps. My body was broken, I was head over heels, and all I could feel was that every time in this world it seems that things are now under control. But if things were so perfect that for a few moments my attention was diverted from the mission, as soon as I reached the room, there was a woman sitting with Phyllis, and the next moment she introduced herself as Queen Isabella of the Canary Kingdom. Then 50 gold coins and 1 white gold coin were given. The amount was much more than expected, but the atmosphere was such that it would have been foolish to refuse. I was about to thank and get up when the Queen stopped me. I thought maybe some other officer opened the door with a bang and a soldier came in gasping. Entered. He reported that a large number of dead monsters had been found near the 2 monster breeding johns. The entire area was on fire. as if someone had set everything on fire. As soon as they heard this, Ka had an army of 5 locks, the siege had begun, and on top of that there was also news that there could be an outer worlder along with the enemy. The whole atmosphere of the room froze in an instant. Ka, Phyllis, both of them understood that this was not just an attack, it was a direct crisis. It would probably take a long time. Queen and Phyllis quickly left the place, and I was just thinking that the situation was getting worse faster than I expected, that I met Beretta outside, and just by looking at her face I understood that she was in some terrible fear of what would happen to the people of the beast or monster race. She was devastated just thinking about it. She got down on her knees and begged me to save her sister. Chitos did not like this at all. For her this was straight up death to me. She cried in relief after hearing this. After that I immediately gathered my people and gave a clear order that we were leaving for the fortress city right now. Our goal was to either push back the Imperial army or completely crush it. There were armored carriers, mobile gun systems and heavy trucks. I clearly understood that this time we would not have to fight outside the city, but would have to enter directly into the blazing front. So all the way I kept thinking that inside. As soon as I entered, my inability to summon was clearly visible. I understood that if I waited even a moment longer, even the third wall would not hold. I immediately changed my plan. The first and second squads would enter the city and destroy the enemies, while the third and fourth squads would close the gates. And to be honest, the battle was extremely terrible. Above, the dragon knights were using magic in the air. Arrows were raining from the walls. The witches were launching magical attacks, and below were the Imperial army's lines of muskets, catapults, trebuchets. They didn't understand us at first. We were strange iron boxes to them, but in the next moment, I ordered the striker units to fire high explosive shells for blasts. A whole new beast had descended on the Imperial infantrymen gathered at the gate. I pushed into the city at full speed, the first and second squads. I went straight inside. The third and fourth squads separated towards their respective gates. I myself fired the M2 machine gun from the top of the striker. Then the stampede that broke out forced the Imperial army to retreat. The gate was saved, the city took a breath, and the siege weapons left by the enemy scattered around. I left the second squad there to clean up and protect. One almost started to absorb the heat of the grenade. With great difficulty I broke through that crowd and went inside. Reached, there were 2 women inside the room. One was Duke Karen Lautrec and the other was his companion Maria, the witch. Karen did not recognize me at first. Even her first kiss was a complete accident. But for her the accident was less of an accident, more of a crime. Still she controlled herself, and said that I and my forces have done a great job to save the city, so I rolled out the victory of the night, but my mind got stuck there. Well, Karen's look was clearly telling that she had not forgotten our last meeting. Returning to my command tent, I took the report of the remaining squads. The second squad had suffered minor damage, the third, but at least the city was still standing. I ordered the subunits to rest and sent the injured to me, so that I could heal them with my ability. Then Chitos asked me with a very soft smile that I had talked to her for some time. Tried to avoid it, said that it was just a small matter, no need to worry, but I myself understood that I had deepened my grave by replying. A small victory party was organized in the night. I was standing aside, had liquor in my hand, stopped and said that now it is too late to talk after maintaining such a distance. Then she directly reminded the incident, when I had knocked her down and had stolen her first kiss. According to her, after that, she had thought many times of getting my head chopped off. I said, "That's it." Her face turned red on hearing this. The words were straight in my mind, but perhaps something else started running in her mind. She was looking down and muttering something, as if suddenly she had started looking at me like a prince. The shyness was gone, in its place there was burning anger. Perhaps she had taken out the meaning of my words in something else. The very next moment she got angry, calling me upside down Data, and without warning he punched me straight in the stomach. I winced in pain as the real trouble was about to begin. The next morning the party ended, but the atmosphere in one of the rooms of the fort was still heavy, because Karen was sitting angrily. Chitos was staring at her as if she was going to shoot him, and I was caught in the middle. Just then the whole hole had opened, as if someone had destroyed the entire defense with one blow. I immediately contacted the fourth squad. Then Funasaka's broken voice came that he was still alive, but the condition was bad and he ran towards the fort with great difficulty, followed by the Imperial army. I immediately ordered the fourth squad to retreat to the second wall, but got the answer that evacuation was impossible and I had to leave them. I had to stay here, but I had also decided that no matter who gave the order, I would not sit safe by pushing my soldiers to death. I ordered the third squad to retreat. Ordered the squad to help the first and second squads in guarding the Zahara cult, and on the other hand kept trying to stop me till the last moment. But when I reminded her what it means to be a commander, she also threw the rope, and said that even if I go down to hell, she will come with me. We went down the 15-meter high wall. It turned out that the ammunition was almost finished. 2 scouts were missing and Funasaka also went to look for them. He has gone missing. Just then I ordered everyone else to take the injured and retreat, while I and the people with me would wait for some more time and the Funas would go, and just then, after the demon, the Imperial soldiers and magicians also started entering through that big gap in the wall. The situation clearly said that it would be suicidal to stay here now, so I asked Ibuki whether my surprise was ready or not, and moved forward. At the next gate Ibuki's prepared line of explosives detonated, large charges and shrapnel mines detonated simultaneously. Both demon and Imperial soldiers turned into portraits, their magic barriers inward facing the blast. But there was no sign of Funasaka, and with a heavy heart I had to call off the search. When I arrived back at the castle, Karen first breathed a sigh of relief, then softly asked if I was okay, but when I told that 2 of my people were dead and 1 person's help was on the way, but it was not clear when it would arrive, and our own report also recorded 6 deaths, I had already treated the injured, yet Chitos directly said that if the situation remained like this, we would have to call reinforcements from the base. They were waiting for some big magical attack, but the attack did not come, and for some time it seemed, maybe the day would pass peacefully, then suddenly. Alarm bells started ringing. I asked for a report, and got the answer that the warplanes were hovering in the sky behind us, and at that moment the Karen came to me, and said that if there was no way to escape, then I should at least take the civilians and run away while they tried to stop the enemy. Then a man from that flying fortress said that he liked this entry very much, and when the Karen again asked what to do now, I removed his hand, grabbed the walkie, and said only one line, start. The plan, after 10 seconds the sky changed. My fighter plane did not directly break through the clouds, but its condition also deteriorated due to continuous hits, and there was chaos inside the enemy fort. Renia was shouting, her people were asking for direction, and when she panicked, removed the shield and ordered the cannon to open. It burst with tons of small explosives, followed by the attacking planes coming down with 30mm fire. Spewing bullets tore apart the armies running in the open field. The ground was burnt, the bodies were frozen, and within a few minutes the army which was keeping an eye on the enemies who had been there for some time, and then from the side of the forest, a whole group of tanks and armored vehicles were seen shaking the ground and moving towards the city. Everyone who was watching all this, including Karen and Maria, had only one question in their eyes, but still problems like lack of vehicles remained. I check your status, so my level had reached 7, the summon limit had increased manifold, new support categories had opened up, and now I had a bigger army than ever before, and by summoning new forces there, I got the processing of prisoners, security cordon, fencing, and set up temporary structures. Then I called a war council with my senior officers, where the first reports of war casualties were read, which could be converted into ransom. I asked the technical department if that magic furnace can be installed in our ships, then the answer was that with the current understanding, 1 destroyer can be flown with difficulty by adding 12 engines, but I stopped his proposal there, because I did not want to use the prisoners in this way, at least not right now. In the meantime a soldier came running in and shouted that Funase is back. At first no one believed. I immediately used my healing ability on him, and for a few moments I got her wounds healed, then ordered her to rest and went out, but at the same time I and her body were black as coal, yet there was light movement in her. I understood that she was not completely dead yet, and perhaps this was my chance to put her at the true limit of her healing, so I sat beside her, used the ability with all my strength. The dust started to rise over me, but slowly her burned body was telling, not by the grace of God, but by the grace of the girl who stood in front of me. There was something else in the eyes. She revealed her name to be Serija Lore, then she heartily rejected the same God who had not heard her prayers, and in the next moment, she fainted in my arms, and I felt the same thing that happens again and again in this world. A battle ends, and from under it comes out the next story already prepared. 5 days after breaking the siege of Alsace Magic Empire, now the structure had changed. Chitos was only my assistant, was no longer there. She had become the vice president, her promotion had also increased, and the whole machine was now running on a larger scale than ever before. At the meeting, the intelligence division did not want to open up and give the enemy a chance to counter against us, especially since that dangerous outer warder was still alive. I reminded everyone that just because there was no delay, don't be fooled that we were looking powerful. We were 8 in this world, and as soon as the real talk started, Chitos told without any hesitation that we were not people of any mercenary adventure group, but people of Parabellum, a military state from another world. The room became heavy at that moment, but the real Sana had turned out to be the king of another country. After a while, when I returned back to the room, the same people who were talking on equal terms till now bowed their heads and apologized. They were demanding. I lightened the atmosphere, took the formal matter forward, and clearly said that when we reached near Duab, he saw countless ships floating in the sea. Then after seeing the real vastness of an entire navy fleet, submarines, and my aircraft carrier, his face changed as if his understanding of the world was being rewritten. Stop, he is not a lucky boy, but the owner of a mobile war machine. Even after returning to the base, I did not stop, just for a moment. I remembered that Beretta's younger sister Zahara had been safely sent to the capital, and I was relieved to hear this. She wanted to talk to me alone, was reluctant to leave the room, but went at my request, looking at Karen with such eyes as I went, that I could already feel the storm coming. Karen, for the first time alone, without hesitation, slowly moved closer to me. At first I thought she was talking about politics. But the very next moment he opened his heart. She said directly that she loved me. And his every action was telling that this is not a deal with any country. Came the voice of his own chateaus. And that moment remained incomplete there. Before leaving, Karen did one more thing. Such that I became frozen there for a few seconds. He kissed me. So straight, so deep that after that I was unable to control myself for some time. Then a message came from the capital and I marched with an armored battalion towards the capital of the Canary Kingdom. As soon as I reached there, I was welcomed not like a guest but like a winner. There was a crowd gathered outside the city. Inside I was thinking that two beautiful girls were fighting for me. Still, this situation is not giving me peace. After reaching the fort, there was a formal welcome. Queen Isabella was in front. Iris was also there. And it feels equally heavy inside the eyes. I had just sat down for a while when suddenly the door opened with a bang and Iris hugged me close to my chest. Phyllis and Barita came after him, panting, apologizing. But to separate Iris from me, he asked her what she wanted to say. So she said with red face, intoxicated eyes, and full heat that I am her prince on the white horse. Now there are no obstacles left and she wants to marry me as soon as possible. Later I learned that as soon as I left, Karen told Queen Isabella everything. My strength is Parabellum's true size and the fact that it is almost impossible to win a direct fight against us. Some foolish elite killing me without protection further made clear the difference of power, which was difficult to explain in words. Then he also told that I have helped his kingdom 3 times without demanding any reward. After rescuing Iris, clearing the demon breeding grounds and the imperial army did not enter the field, the prime minister from their side still continued to show arrogance and tried to bend the treaty in his favor. Deep down, Queen Isabella wanted to strengthen her relationship with me and she had in mind Karen to marry her to me. And at that moment I understood that political alliance, military power and the coming war were in place. But perhaps my most dangerous battle is about to begin now in this war of hearts.